Been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fists. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list, but she said, where'd you wanna go?
Hey guys, Ron from FunctionBuilt-Aquatics. I wanted to shoot a quick video of the patoti grogot that we brought in about 5 months ago from Indonesia. These guys are paired off at this point. In the very beginning stages, I had a difficult time getting the male to accept the female, and a lot of that had to do with immaturity in the male's on the male's part. And now that he's a little bit larger and she's a little bit larger and a little bit more mature, he's showing his adult male coloration. You can check it out right now. This fish is magnificent in person. He's accepted the female in his territory. Nathan and I just recently set up this tank specifically for this pair with the driftwood and the rocks. The two sponge filters are in there temporarily. The black sponge filter on the left-hand side, I'm just trying to get that cultured to eventually take over and be the main filter in this particular tank. I've converted the majority of the tanks in my room to this particular size sponge filter. I use them in my 10-gallon tanks, 20 highs. Right now I have about 25 of them running out of the 40 tanks that we have. And eventually I'll convert the entire fish room to this particular filter, other than maybe the 275s, which run off the Eheim canisters. But more about the grogot. This is a really cool, aggressive patoti. This is a fish that will literally jump out of the water after your fingers, try to grab your knuckles. They also try to jump out of the water just to jump out. So when I typically do water changes, I'll crack the lid a bit, slide the hose in, and have to put the lid back down on top of the hose just to keep them from coming out of the tank. I have actually caught this male maybe once or twice in my hand while he leaped out. I typically like to keep the water levels in their tank a little lower than normal, just so it's a little bit more distance. Doesn't really make a difference though. These fish can pretty much leap about 4 or 5 foot tall, high with no issue. It seems like they have springs in the base of their tails. Now, they haven't started showing any courting behavior, but they have accepted each other as a pair. And now that Nathan and I moved them to a new tank and changed their environment, that's always a nice way to instill spawning behavior. So I've been feeding her pretty well, giving her a lot of frozen meaty worms, frozen meaty foods. I'm trying to get pretty much everything in order to keep this particular pair basically on track. I expect that they should spawn within the next 2 weeks or so, and this will be the first time that I'll be offering the grogot to any of our followers later on down the line. I just recently shipped 6 fish to Maryland, and it was a successful run. The fish arrived with no issues. A lot of people ask me how I like to ship fish. I typically like to ship fish next day. It's costly. It costs anywhere between $25 to $48, but the fish are in transit half of a day pretty much. If I ship them at 5 o'clock, they usually arrive at their destination by 10:30 the next day. And it pretty much ensures that the fish will arrive alive and healthy. I do not like to ship fish today, and as a matter of fact, most of the time I usually refuse. I have a lot of people who call me, want to do fish on the cheap, and I tell them it's just not worth it. I don't want my fish to die. I don't do this for the money. I do this for the care of the fish. So you got to try to keep that in mind when you bring in fish like this. It's not a cheap venture, but you want what you want so you can keep the fish long term. So, like I said, Ron from FunctionBuilt-Aquatics. This is the patoti grogot. Keep an eye on this video. See you soon, guys. Bye.